Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. Hey listeners, I want to thank our sponsor, Bird Hunter Supply, your go-to for premium hunting gear at birdhuntersupply.com. This family-owned business run by a husband and wife team from Idaho is driven by their love for bird hunting, dog training, and the great outdoors. For them, hunting is a treasured family tradition. Think crisp mornings in the field and the thrill of the chase and those irreplaceable moments with dogs, family, and friends. They've built Bird Hunter Supply to share that passion, curating high-quality gear to help you create your own lasting hunting memories with your crew. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Bird Hunter Supply has you covered with top-notch equipment from dog training tools to hunting apparel, backed by exceptional customer service to make your experience unforgettable. Best of all, they're deeply committed to preserving the wild spaces we love. When you shop at birdhuntersupply.com, you can choose at checkout to direct a percentage of your order to conservation powerhouses like Pheasants Forever, Rough Grouse Society, or Delta Waterfowl. Your purchase helps these groups protect vital habitats and sustain the wildlife that makes our sport possible, ensuring hunting traditions thrive for generations. Visit birdhuntersupply.com today, explore the carefully selected gear, and support a family-run business dedicated to both hunters and the outdoors. That's birdhuntersupply.com. Gear up, hunt with purpose, and help preserve the wild. Hey, welcome to Go Flush Yourself, episode number 50. Can't believe it's been 50 episodes. We're excited to have made it this far. Thank you. I mean, it really comes down to all of you listeners who listen every episode and are in the Discord chatting it up or on social media interacting, recommending the podcast to others, leaving reviews. We thank you for that. If you feel so inclined, no pressure. Thank you to our awesome sponsor, Bird Hunter Supply, which you just heard from. And then also, lastly, but definitely not least, thank you to all of our Patreon members. You really are the lifeblood of our podcast. Like almost literally, you're the ones that help us pay to keep this podcast going, and your support does not go unrecognized. If you want to be a part of that Patreon group, we have a couple different levels. There's a $2 level and the $6 level. The $2 level is the supporter level. It's essentially just saying, I support you, easy to $2 a month. Click that, make it recurring, and you're one of our Patreon. It gives you access to the private Patreon guest and host channel on our Discord. There's also the $6 a month producer level, and that gets you everything the support level got, but it also gets you mentioned in our show notes as a producer of the show, which you technically are. And it also, we like to call them out in the podcast from here and there, and you get a special color and everything on Discord as well. If you're not a Patreon member at all, you still can join us over on Discord and chat it up. Like I said, on many of these podcasts before, and it seems like there's always people hopping in there. It's an active spot. People like to chat in there. Off season, maybe a little more active during the season, but in the off season it's active too. And we're talking all the kind of topics we talk about on the podcast, but other stuff too. So check that out if you get a chance. All right. Now we have all that out of the way, let's get into the interview here with Michaela Maupin. She's a Springer owner, amongst other things, which you'll learn about from eastern Idaho, not too far from us. But Jared and I really enjoyed the conversation, and we hope you do too. Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast. As always, I'm Matt here with my co-host Jared. Jared, how you doing?
Good, Matt. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. And we're also joined today by a guest, Michaela Maupin. Michaela, thanks for joining the podcast. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me. And as far as a little bit about myself, I am 28. I am an Idaho native. I live in Southeast Idaho, kind of close to Rigby. I am a wife, a mom of two, and I've upland hunted pretty much my whole life. I started with my dad, so that's kind of where my passion lies. But my husband and I do all kinds of hunting, probably too many kinds of hunting to keep up with, really. And then as far as work, I'm a registered nurse. I've been doing that since COVID. So that was a great time to start. Um, let's see.
Right into the fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it was. It really was. But that's been a good experience, I would guess. I guess I would say. Can't say that I regret nursing, but it's definitely not my favorite.
Mm,
And I guess the good news is it's pretty flexible, so it's able to let me kind of pursue my hobbies a little bit more than I would be with a regular job. So,
that's true.
but yeah, that's kind of a synopsis of myself. That's what I do. I have my two kids are one's 3 years old and one's 3 months old. So
Oh, geez. You're
pretty
busy.
busy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely busy. But and then as far as my dogs, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of dogs. One of the types of hunting we do is hound hunting, which is obviously not really what we're here to talk about, but we've got four hounds and then we have two black labs and my Springer Spaniel. So that
Very
is
cool.
that's the
What
rundown there.
what kind of hounds do you have? Because I also like to do. I don't hound hunt, but I have hounds.
Okay, so we have got they're all coon hounds. So we've got a blue tick, and then we've got a couple of crosses that are red bone coon hound with a treeing walker, and then we've got one straight treeing walker and a gosh, I don't really know what the other one is. She's probably a cur crossed with like a red bone.
Okay.
She's
And are you doing more
she's
like big game with them, or are you doing like
so
raccoons and stuff?
it's I would love to do raccoons. We have not had a lot of success with that. I don't know if there's just too much pressure on them in this area. So big games. So we do lions and bears.
Oh,
And
nice.
we've only been in it for a couple of years. It's more my husband's hobby than mine, but we've been in it for a couple of years, and it's kind of hard to get started. You have to have some reliable dogs, and that can be hard to find when you're first starting.
Yeah.
So we have some pretty young dogs, which is kind of difficult. And then our cur cross is the older dog, and she is actually really, really great on cats. And so
Okay.
he's had a little more success with the cats this year. And then we'll see how she does with bears this year. That's just getting started. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But we actually, my husband's only killed one lion in the years that we've been doing it. So it's interesting. A lot of people, they're kind of put off when they hear that we hound hunt,
Uh-huh.
because it sounds kind of, I don't know, people think of it as unethical, which is interesting to me because it's so difficult to do.
Right.
Usually you're just going out on a hike with your dogs by the end of it.
Sure.
But anyway, he's only gotten one lion with our dogs, and then everything else we've treed, we just let go. So it's
Yeah,
just fun.
I think the argument can be made is almost like more ethical because you can let go stuff if it's not like it
Yeah,
doesn't meet your
exactly.
criteria and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we actually went on a hunt toward Riggins, Idaho, a few
Okay.
years ago, and it was so difficult to tell. It was a bear hunt. It was so difficult to tell how big the bears were
Mhm.
because they weren't close. And the nice thing is with the hounds, like you really get a good look at the animal to see if it's a mature animal before you decide to kill it. So,
Right.
I mean, hence only one lion has really been mature. And the other thing too is there's just so many bears and a decent amount of lions in this area. They
Hmm.
really kind of need to be pressured in order to stay away from people and not cause
Right.
problems. But a lot of people hear, oh, hound hunting, and they think it's evil inherently. But if you have a love of dogs, which obviously you guys do, just going out and watching dogs do what they're bred to do is super awesome. We love doing that, which is why we have the dogs. But a lot of people don't have the appreciation for it, and like the breeding of the dogs and how much training really goes into it. But that's really
Yeah.
why we do it is for the dogs, not so
Yeah.
much for killing
Mhm.
anything. So, but yeah, that's the hound hunting spiel. It's been pretty fun, and it's a good way to stay active in the winter as well. So we enjoy
What's
it.
the community like for hound hunting in like Idaho or the
Um,
Northwest or Mountain
it's
West?
decently active, but I also
Okay.
feel like it's there's more hound hunters than you think that there are. But I would also say hound hunters kind of keep to themselves because
Right.
it is pretty competitive. Like when we go out, a lot of the time we have to get up at 3 a.m., load the kids up, load the dogs up, and then we drive about an hour, hour and a half to where we go. And you have to drive all these roads looking for like cat tracks in the snow. So the conditions all have to be right, and you have to be the first one out there to find
Right.
the track, and then you sit there at the track to basically hold your spot. And so once it's legal hours, then you can let the dogs go. So it's pretty. It's I'd say it's kind of competitive, But there is a pretty good community. It's called the Eastern Idaho Houndsman Association
Oh,
in the
cool.
area. So yeah, it's fun. But
Nice. Well, it's always
Yeah.
been
yeah.
interesting to me too, because like it's just like I love dogs and hunting,
Hmm.
and yeah, I remember being younger and only being really a bird hunter and being like, that sounds weird. Like hunting, that sounds like you said,
Hmm.
like it sounds cruel, like just on the
Yeah.
surface level. And then once you dig a little bit
Yes.
into it, you're like, oh no, this is like
It's
Jared
like
said, maybe more ethical when it
yes.
comes to
Yeah.
the kill or tracking animals. And like in Washington, and I think also in Oregon, like we're in Washington,
Hmm.
they ban hunting bears
Hmm.
and cats with dogs, which is just
Yeah.
unfortunate. And then
Yeah.
we
It
have a
is.
lot more
Issues.
cougars in our town, like in
Yeah.
our parks and stuff. And like, well, it's hard to hunt them without dogs. Like, it sure would
It's
be nice
Yeah.
almost
if we could
impossible.
control this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating, but I understand where people who have, especially no interest in hunting at
Yes.
all,
Yeah.
um, just don't understand it. But if
Yeah.
people educate themselves a little bit, looked into it, it makes a lot of sense. It's super interesting. So I'm
Yeah, it
glad
Yeah.
we
is.
got
It's
down this
fun.
rabbit hole. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one.
very cool. Okay, well, let's talk about your labs and the Springer then.
Okay, so when I met my husband, he already had a lab. Her name is Sitka, and she is an angel sent from heaven. She's probably pushing 70 pounds. She's a pretty big lab. She's not papered, which is unfortunate. She came out of a stud dog in Oklahoma that was crossed with like a wild rose kennels dog,
Oh,
which is, it sounds like that's one of the more, I'm not as much into the labs, but it sounds like that's one of the more well-known lab
Yeah.
kennels.
yeah.
So she is absolutely phenomenal, and we use her for waterfowl mostly. I will admit I'm a little bit of a snob as far as upland hunting with labs. My husband trained her. He went on a mission to Oklahoma, and met a guy there named Aaron Mallard, and he is an awesome retriever trainer. He's kind of just like a small time. It's like a side hustle for him, but he does a really great job, and I think he does a lot of like the Wild Rose way with his training. But anyway, Sitka is trained phenomenally as a retriever. So part of the reason I think I don't love upland hunting with her is because she's so set on being next to you. She has a hard time ranging out because she didn't really grow up upland hunting, right? She just did
Right.
mostly waterfowl. So she kind of comes along sometimes and farts around. She's mostly retired now. She's like 9. But I don't particularly love upland hunting with my labs, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of waterfowl around here. The
Yeah.
last few years have kind of sucked as far as duck numbers, which is unfortunate. My other lab, her name is River, and she's actually Sitka's puppy. She's 2 years old now, and we actually sent her to our friend Aaron Mallard. He's up in Alaska now, and so we sent her
Oh,
up there,
cool.
and he trained her for us as a retriever. And so she kind of has a little bit of the same issue. She doesn't love to range out. So when I take her out upland hunting, I do kind of feel like I'm mostly tripping over her. So Jason, my husband, he teases me. He's like, well, if you took her out, she'd be just fine. She'd have to practice and she'd start ranging out there. And I'm like, I know, but it's like more of a pain to have her with me sometimes, especially because I usually have my kid with me.
Ah,
So generally, when I go out any sort of hunting, I guess besides like archery, big game, that wouldn't really work. But if we go out hound hunting or we go out bird hunting, we're usually packing the toddler with us. And so between the two of them, I'm like, I don't want to have to babysit my lab as well. But then
Fair.
she's great with ducks. We haven't had a very good season this year. And then with me being just, recently pregnant, I couldn't even fit into my waders this year. So we didn't go upland or waterfowl hunting this year. But and then my Springer, that's Savvy, and she is kind of my pride and joy. I trained her myself, so she is out of. I guess I should maybe a little bit of background. My family has always had Springers. That's the breed I grew up with. My grandpa, he was actually he's from a town really close to where the Riddles live,
okay.
and so I don't know if there must have been some Springers in that area where everybody kind of got into them back then because
Right.
my grandpa always had Springers and the occasional cocker as well. And he started training for field trials when it was when my dad had first gotten married. My dad told me about it, and they had this dog that they had trained and they were all ready to start competing with, and he got hit by a car and became a tripod, and so they
Oh,
never ended up competing. But so my Springer, Savvy, she is 2.5 years old. she's out of my dad's dogs. So my dad has a dog named Harley, the stud dog. He is from Stonebrook Kennels in
Yeah.
Montana.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the breeder's name. I was pretty young when we got Harley because he's about 10 now. Um, but I believe that Harley's lines, most of them actually originate from Rockies.
Okay.
And I know he's got Crosswinds Duke in his lines, which
Nice.
now that I've been listening to more podcasts and I've kind of been getting more involved, I'm like, oh wow, he's really, really well bred.
Yeah.
So he's got the Crosswinds Duke, which he shares with like the episode we talked about. Well, you guys talked about Rocky's solo.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
he's got Crosswinds Duke. So they're related in that part of their line. And then just to put it in perspective, and then my dad got a female from Rockies in 2021. It's a Mac times UG baby. So out of Mac and UG, and UG is the Canadian national champion that the Riddles have. And
Yep.
then Mac is their Professor McGonagall. She's that really good looking black and white female.
Hmm.
And so we got a dog out of them and got her in 2021. So I think that Bones must be out of a litter, a Mac times, because he's out of Mac and UG, right?
No,
Jared?
he's actually out of a different one.
Oh, okay. I
I
thought
think I
Um,
maybe they
messed
were
that
this.
up when I
No,
tried to
you're
make that
good.
connection. I was like, actually, yeah,
You're
Jerry
like, wait a
corrected me.
minute. That's okay. Who is he out of?
so Bones is out of I'll have to look it up. I can't remember off the top. It's I just said it. Hold on.
You're good.
I think I texted Matt about it.
Yeah, you did.
I did. So he is from Waptashi River, and what's the other one? Royal Louis and Waptashi River.
Okay.
I,
Do they call him Louis and River? Is that the dog's
I
call
don't know their
names?
call names.
I don't
Okay.
know their call
I was
names.
gonna say I don't know the registered names off the top of my head, but I do
Yeah,
know that Bones looks a lot like my Springer. So I
he
Crazy
does.
when
amount.
yeah, they look
Yes.
so alike. So when you made that connection, even if it was wrong, I totally believed it because they look like twins
Oh,
almost.
I saw it too. When Matt showed me the picture of your dog, I was like, oh, I could see it. They look
Oh yeah.
exactly this. They
Oh,
look
they
really
really
close.
do. They even the way they're sitting, like they just the way they hold themselves and the shape of their head,
Hmm.
they're very, very similar.
Yes.
But so Savvy, she's out of my dad's dogs. And we kind of went over that already, but
Yeah.
I've absolutely loved her. So I trained her myself. I was there when they were born. So, it's been fun
That's
because I
cool.
got to,
That's
yeah, it's been,
awesome.
so I had pick of the litter, which was awesome. And it was such a hard choice because there were nine of them. And I was pretty certain I wanted a female at that point, which is what I obviously went with. But just watching them grow up, the way that I kind of picked, so I think she was about 5 weeks old when I decided on which dog that I wanted. But she is super high drive. She is a little bit of a crackhead, which is kind of normal for springers, as you guys
Hmm.
know. Um, she's so we have our house is pretty small, so she doesn't really come in the house all that much, especially because my toddler won't leave her alone.
Hmm.
And so no one can settle down when she's in the house because they egg each other on.
Hmm.
And so she mostly is outside. So I know that if I had her in the house more, she would calm down more. But kind of a crackhead, high drive, so willing to please. That's all she wants to do. And I listened to another one of your episodes. You guys were talking about how like if you even look at the dog wrong, it'll like pee itself. She
That's
doesn't do that, but it's
this
like
one.
she's yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she's kind of gentle. Like I have to be careful of how disappointed I am in her sometimes when I'm correcting her because she
Yeah.
takes it very personally. And I remember, I don't know who you guys were talking to. It was a good episode, but just talking about the e-collar and how sometimes the e-collar is actually better for those dogs because it's not a personal correction.
Hmm.
I totally related to that because I do feel like that's how Savvy is. So when she was little, I took her home. It was Christmas puppy, basically. So that was great because I got to take her out in the snow, in the cold, every time she had to go potty. So I always seem to get puppies in the cold weather. I never get them in the summer. But then lots of basic obedience with her, lots of place boards, check cord. Her recall is absolutely phenomenal. It's made it really, really easy. The main thing that and you know what, actually, I didn't introduce her much to birds. A lot of the stuff that we did when she was young was all bumpers.
Hmm.
with some
Hmm.
scent, and then the occasional frozen bird. I did make sure to introduce her to ducks early because I think springers have a hard time sometimes with waterfowl.
Yep.
And I wanted her to like because they're kind of snobby. They would rather retrieve upland, and then you ask them to retrieve a stinky duck, and they don't want to.
This
So I
greasy
made
duck. You're
sure
like, what?
exactly. And
Yeah.
honestly, they are kind of gross, so I get it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to use her for both, and so
Hmm.
made sure she really liked ducks early on. She took to birds with absolutely no problem. So excited from the very beginning. She just pretty much did everything right. And then we mostly did bumpers. Um, she was probably, and I did a little bit of whistle training, but I've never really done that. I've watched a little bit. I went and saw a field trial that the Riddles were doing down in Utah, and just I can't say enough good things about the Riddles, especially
Hmm.
Josh. I bug him sometimes with questions that are like so random, and he's always so friendly and responds and is just, I mean, he's super helpful.
Yep.
And the
Hmm.
field trial community they have down there is it's actually the closest spaniel club of any sort near me. It's probably like 2.5 hours from me. And I would love to be a part of it, but I just don't have the time or the resources to be driving down there. But
Yeah.
if anyone ever wants to go watch, like when I went and spent a day down there watching the field trial, they were so accommodating and kind to me, and everyone was just explaining stuff, and I learned a bunch. It was super fun. So anyway, I'll throw that out there. I love the Riddles, and they're so friendly. That field trial community. But I did a little bit of whistle training with Savvy. She was I so actually, ironically too, the book that I used was the Huck book
Hmm.
Yep.
by James Spencer.
Yep.
And I looked at it because you guys talked about it in an episode and you're like, it's 270 pages long. It totally is. It's so long, but I've never had a huge problem reading. However, I did kind of break that book down and I wrote down the basic steps just to refer to because after you guys talked about it, I realized it really is a long book.
Hmm.
But I recommend that book to people. That's what
Yeah.
I pretty much used as my blueprint for Savvy. And she was steady to flush and shot by, I mean, she was probably 8 or 9 months old.
Nice.
And then I started hunting over her at 10 months old, is when I first went out for wild birds. And as far as hunting in this area, there's pretty much nothing as far as pheasants. It's pretty depressing. My dad talks about, well, when I was a kid, there were pheasants in all of these fields and just so many roosters. And now, if you want to hunt pheasants in southeast Idaho, it is pretty much a WMA thing.
Hmm.
And they do a pretty good job stocking them. It's fun. There's a decent amount of WMAs. You just have to try to space out because there are a decent amount of people every once in
Yeah.
a while.
Right.
And so you feel like you're kind of getting shot at if you're not careful because there's just too many people on the property.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of sharptail in this area. I think this is
Oh, nice.
actually the only area in the state you're really allowed to hunt sharptail. And so I enjoy sharptail a lot. That's what Savvy and I kind of cut our teeth on together. Um, so it's good. She she stays close to me, but she also I think she covers like an appropriate amount of ground, especially out in the sagebrush. She'll tend to range like a little bit further.
Hmm.
She's usually around like 40 to 50 yards from me, which is great. And
Yep.
then in the late season, the birds get pretty jumpy, which is, then they flush wild like hundreds of yards away and you never get a shot at them. And then this last year, I was lucky enough to get some sage grouse tags. And the way that works here is basically on the appropriate day, you go stand in a line and they give you a number and it to prevent people from fighting essentially, and you all stand in this line and when you get to the counter you say this is the area I want, and if it's available they'll sell you tags. So I was
Wow.
lucky enough to get a couple tags, and we did get a sage grouse which was pretty fun, a nice big male. So that was my first sage grouse
Oh,
that
cool.
Savvy helped me with. And so as far as hunting in Idaho, I would say for upland I would say sage grouse, sharptail, and then there's a decent amount of ruffed grouse, but I do
Mm.
feel like those are kind of cyclical. And so
Yes.
sometimes I
Yeah.
feel guilty shooting them because I feel like they've been struggling recently. So I don't usually go out for forest grouse all that much. Um, and then just, we hunt the WMAs. There's some Hungarian partridge here as well. Um, I do feel like their numbers have been struggling a little bit more lately. And so I
Hmm.
also kind of feel guilty. Like every time a wild bird flushes, I'm like, do I want to shoot this bird or would I rather not? You know,
Fair.
just, yeah. So I don't know, especially with pheasants. Savvy's first pheasant we got was actually a wild rooster. So that was pretty cool. But
Cool.
I don't usually shoot wild pheasants, even when I do get the opportunity. Um, I don't know. I want their numbers to survive. So sometimes I feel a little guilty shooting the wild ones, but luckily there's enough sharp tail that we still have plenty of opportunity for wild birds. So do you guys have
Nice.
any other questions? Sorry, kind of
Any,
long-winded.
no, it's good. Any
That's
quail
good.
species your way?
I have never hunted quail here. I don't
Okay.
know if I am just totally out of the know and maybe there's some hidden pockets of quail,
Right.
but I know there's a lot of quail over toward like Boise.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
your guys' side of our state, essentially, I know there's tons of quail. Every time I go over there, I see quail, even in like suburban neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But over here, I don't think we have quail. I feel like I would have heard about it by now.
Fair.
But
Or found some. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very good. So, um, sharp-tail with a Springer, what's that look like? Like usually when people think of sharp-tail grouse or Huns, I guess also you can look at it and people think about pointing dogs.
Yeah. And
What's that like with the Springer for folks who haven't tried it? 'Cause we have like a small population of sharp-tail here, but no season, so we don't really see them ever.
okay. Yeah, no, so we're lucky to have a decently long season, and I actually think that the state has lengthened some of our upland seasons this year.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. I actually think pheasant is a whole nother month this year.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Yeah, so it'll be great. Um, I think it goes all the way to the end of December, and usually it ended in November, even for the WMAs.
Hmm.
But as far as sharp-tail go, the season is shorter. It's just part of October generally. So the bag limit is two per day. And so we go out, to be honest with you, we usually get it done pretty quickly. It's basically you go out, sagebrush, desert, really no defining characteristics anywhere. So the hardest part of it, honestly, is probably just finding birds
Right.
because the desert looks the same everywhere you go.
Hmm.
So generally, the way we tend to do it, especially since we have kids with us or maybe someone's babysitting them, so we're trying to kind of go fast,
Yeah.
Um, generally, we'll be driving like a dirt road and you'll see tracks in the snow. And then you're like, okay, well, we'll hop out here and see. And then it can be, anywhere from, oh, look, they're right here. We just flushed them, 30 yards off the road, or, an hour or two of hiking around and not flushing a dang thing if you're unlucky.
Hmm.
Um, but I would say, like, beginning of the season, it's honestly not too hard with a Springer. Savvy she does a good job of staying close to me, so that's nice because I feel like when the sharp tail flush, you're more reacting to like the sound of it, right? I don't know. When I hike with my dog, I feel like sometimes I kind of zone out. You guys have
Hmm.
talked about that a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's like relaxing. It's almost meditative.
Right.
Um, as you're walking around, and then you hear the birds, and you come back to reality, and there they are. And usually she flushes them around like 40 yards from me, so I'm
Okay.
able to get one or two shots. And then hopefully we find them easily because sometimes the sagebrush can be pretty tall.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so it can be kind of hard to mark where they fall, but we're generally pretty successful. I don't know that we've actually lost a sharp tail in the last few years or not. Um, and so I'd say early season, it's really not that hard. It's late season where it starts to get kind of frustrating because you can
Right.
see tracks and you'll stop and the birds will flush before you even
Right.
really have like the dog out of the truck or anything. And so that can be a little bit annoying. But to be honest with you, I don't think having a pointer would be an advantage in that situation.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they're so spooky by the end of the season, it's kind of a moot point. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of just going for a walk in the sagebrush, and you know, it's I'd say it's similar to kind of hunting Huns is
Right.
how I would, yeah, because especially there's not really a lot of like real thick cover out there. It's all kind of the same. So it's not like it's not like you're getting into anything super thick where like a pheasant might be hiding.
Right.
So that's how I describe it. I think it's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally the weather is nasty, but
Yeah.
that doesn't change depending on the kind of hunting you do. So, but
Yes.
So does as I've noticed this with Bridge on a little bit of hun hunting I've done, has
mhm,
Savvy learned kind of how to deal with sharp tails better as time's gone on? Like like Bridge will get sent now, and I notice she'll get excited and want to go get on it, but then she knows
mhm.
that she's learned I got to slow down and kind of. find the happy
Yeah,
medium of not letting the
yeah,
birds get away, but also not pushing them so hard
yeah.
where they flush
It,
early.
yeah, no, I
Have you
feel like
tried to figure that out?
yeah, no, I feel like she has. So I actually feel like the biggest mistake I made training Savvy was that I overhandled her. I was so
Yeah.
excited to have this dog to train, and we'd go out and drill in the yard and whatever. And I she it actually talks about it in the Hup book. He calls it popping, where your dog, like, you'll set them out on a cast or something and they'll run out there and then they stop and they look at you for direction. And
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
yeah, yeah,
I've fostered that bad habit in Savvy because I trained her kind of more like a retriever to some extent because
yeah.
that's what I had kind of been exposed to. And so sometimes I wish she was a little more independent in her hunting. However, I will say she tends to range, if anything, she ranges too close to me,
Right.
which when you're hunting sharptail is an advantage, right?
Yeah.
She's not the kind of dog to just go out and hunt for herself. She stays with me. I can adjust my angle wherever I'm walking, and she'll appropriately change where she's quartering. Like, she's always been really, really like a cooperative dog.
Right.
I don't really feel like I had to train that into her. She was always like, when I picked her out of the litter, she was high drive. She was, looking for things, but she was also very interested in people. And that was something I didn't want, a dog that was so independent that, you get out of the truck and the dog just runs off and starts hunting without you. And so
Yeah.
Salvy's not the kind of dog to do that. Um, and so I do feel like her hunting style is advantageous for hunting sharptail, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense.
If anything,
Yeah.
she actually does better with sharptail than pheasants, and I think that's just because she's had more exposure.
Probably.
And so
Yeah.
we do a lot of like desert sagebrush hunting, and so that's where she tends to shine. Um, we really don't have as much opportunity with pheasants, and even the pheasants that we do hunt, they're pen raised birds, and so I feel
It's
like
different.
yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
They don't flush the same way that wild birds do, and so sometimes you're kind of surprised when you do find them, or where you find them at on a WMA. Like Savvy's dad, we've taken him out, a bunch. Obviously, he's 10, but there have been multiple times where he'll bring us a pen raised bird completely unharmed, and
Hmm.
it never flushed. We never,
Yep.
he just shows up with
Yep.
the bird and brings it to us.
And the bird's like
And
looking
so,
around like, what's
yeah,
going on? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
they're so different than wild birds. And
Yeah.
so we have a WMA pretty close to here, but it's not great. It's honestly, it's a sagebrush WMA. And
Hmm.
so I don't hunt a lot of pheasants with Savvy. It's kind of a drive to get to any of the decent WMAs from here.
Right.
But so yeah, I feel like she's done a really, really great job with sharptail. And honestly, it's not too far of a drive for me to go hunt sharptail from here. And so that's what we tend to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's totally learned how to use, the wind and the distance appropriately. She doesn't run off ahead like the maniac very often. So she's a pleasure to hunt behind. And, my husband, he teases me because he's more of a lab guy and not much
Right.
of an upland guy. So he
Right.
doesn't, I feel like he didn't grow up doing it. I grew up doing it. And so when I hunt behind a springer, I just enjoy it so much more than hunting with a lab, because the labs, they can flush things, but it's not the same as watching a spaniel work.
Yeah.
And you can see just all of the body language change when they get birdie, and it's just, it's enjoyable to watch. And that's half the reason I'm out there, is to watch the dog. And then the other half the reason we like to, I feel like it's like a social event almost. Like, we'll take our family, our cousins will come, our friends will come, we'll all go out for a day on the WMA. And there's 5 or 6 of us and we all have a good time doing it. So dogs
Nice.
and the family are a big part of upland hunting for us as well. So
Love it. I love it. Yeah, it seems kind of your point on overhandling the dog. I think I
mm,
kind of made that, I'll call it a mistake with Bridge.
Hmm.
It wasn't as bad. Like, it wasn't too bad. Could have been worse. But
yeah,
yeah, sometimes she will pop like that, or she'll stop to look at me like, what's next? It's like,
exactly.
hunt.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
these dogs the dogs we're talking about, and our springers, they're so well bred, and they've been
Hmm.
bred for a purpose for so long. The DNA really comes through, and I
Oh, it
think my
Hmm.
does.
next spaniel will be kind of like, let's just go hunt and just,
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to win a ribbon with
Yeah.
them. So for me, it's like, let's just go hunt and get the
Hmm.
obedience down, and then let's just see what you do on your own and see where that takes
Exactly.
me.
It,
It probably goes further than overhandling, at least if you're just out chasing birds.
yeah. No, and I mean, to be honest with you, I would rather have a dog that is too receptive to my commands than the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
it's sometimes it's frustrating because I wish she would range out a bit further, or I wish she would be more independent in her hunting. And it's not that she's not independent, but I do feel like sometimes she'll stop and look at me and be like, "Well, what do you need me to do?" Or
Yeah.
where do you want me to go, boss? But
Right.
it's it's so much better than a dog that goes out and completely ignores you.
I have one of those
So
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I
they can be
agree.
harder to hunt behind. Yeah, when they run out and flush everything hundreds of yards ahead of you, it doesn't work out too well. So,
No.
but yeah, I think in my next my I think I'm going to be hard pressed to ever want anything that isn't a spaniel. After growing up with them, and they're just so willing to please and friendly, and like you
Hmm.
said, the genetics are just absolutely phenomenal. Like these dogs, I really feel like I didn't do very much as far as training her. Like she did
Yeah.
all of it herself. I just had the basic obedience down so that I could control her drive. But I would be surprised if I ever want anything other than a Springer. I've thought about the idea of a Cocker for a while,
Yeah.
just because they're small, and I've thought about getting a black one because then the hair would be the same as our black labs. So you'd only
Hmm.
have one color of
Only
hair.
fighting one battle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not black and white because then you lose no matter what.
True.
But it sounds like Cockers tend to be a little bit more independent from the people that you guys have interviewed, just hearing the perspective on Cockers. And like it's fun to have a challenge to some extent, but I don't want I am so busy. I don't have a lot of time to just devote to training my dog, 3 or 4 days a week. And so I don't know that I would ever get a cocker after hearing how independent they are. I think if I ever get a different breed, and this might sound a bit cliche because I know that they've gotten really popular, but I have thought about a Boykin,
Hmm.
because it would be nice to have
Yeah.
the spaniel and the waterfowl dog
Yeah.
kind of in one. It's so cold here. I could train Savvy all I wanted, and she could have as much drive for waterfowl as she does for upland, and she would still freeze
Yeah.
because we go
Hmm.
out there and there's icebergs floating down the river, and it's windy and miserable, and so she doesn't have the coat for that. And
Yeah.
so a Boykin is something I've toyed with the idea of getting at some point, just because it'd be nice to have one dog that did both really, really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. It would be a sad day to also not have a Springer after growing up with them. So
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, what's impressive to me with the DNA is like Bridget quartered on her own without me
mhm.
teaching her. Sophie
Hmm.
even does a little bit. I know Bones has seen him do it too, but it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
how
Savvy
is
does.
that built into your DNA? That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, they're so
Um,
good at working the wind.
yeah,
It's so instinctive to them. And
Hmm.
like she, I don't even know that much about the wind, right? I don't know how to train
sure.
a dog to quarter appropriately into the wind because the
Same.
dogs I've grown up with have always just done it. And
Right.
so I take it for granted, I guess. But then I read about how, in these books, how to train your dog to quarter or how to use the wind and all of this. And I'm like, well, crap, my dog, like, I wish my dog could teach me because she knows exactly what she's doing.
Right.
So, yeah, they're awesome.
Part of that, I wonder, and this is just me wondering with no expertise, but part of that I wonder is it just time? Is that when Hup was written, or if we look back to like the
Hmm.
80s, early 90s, were the genetics not as strong, but now
Yep.
after a
I
few
mean,
more decades of just like focused breeding,
yeah,
are the genetics that much stronger where the training isn't needed as heavily and it's just kind of built into the dogs if it's
yeah.
done
I
right?
mean, I think that's definitely a possibility. These dogs have been, I mean, so selectively bred for, I
Hmm.
don't
Right.
even know how many generations it would have been since Hup was written,
Right.
dozens of generations of dogs. And
Right.
so, yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable to say that could be a big part of it. These dogs have just been so well bred now that they really don't need our help.
Yeah,
We're just
it's
lucky to
it's
get to go hunt with them.
it's
Yeah.
wild. And I was talking to oh, I can't think of his name now. The guy from Northwest Wing Shooters, Rob. I was chatting with
Oh
him a
yeah.
little bit ago about his Brittany's, which are also out of Idaho. And I
Mhm.
said, like, how much training have you done with them? He's like, literally zero.
Like
It's like
they've
the
just done it
instinct's
all.
just there. He felt like a similar thing. And I'm like, same with my springers. Like,
Yeah,
they just go and do it. And I don't think it's always been that way. So I
no,
wonder if that breeding has just gotten so tight and so good.
so good that it's
Um,
just that much better now.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's always been this way, and I don't know. I don't know, but it seems feasible.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. And I think it goes to show too, like why doing your research when you pick a dog
Hmm.
can make all of the difference. Because I think if if you get on Craigslist and you just go and buy some, I mean, and you know what, there are great dogs that aren't papered. There are great
Yeah,
dogs that come out of, random little towns that you've never heard of,
yep,
whatever.
Hmm.
There's a lot of good dogs. But I will also say, like, if somebody is getting into dogs, especially for the first time, I think it's worth the money to go and get a well-bred dog that comes from working lines, especially if you can talk to the breeders and that they're
yep.
approachable and just really do
Hmm.
your research. And I don't know, I think that saves a lot of heartache.
Yes.
Overall, I think it's definitely worth just getting a quality bred dog. Especially, I mean, I don't know, like for me, where I love hunting, but it's not my job. It's just a hobby.
Right,
I don't have millions of hours to be drilling my dog all the time. Like, it's maybe 30 minutes here or there. So it's
right.
nice to have
Hmm.
a dog that goes out and just gets it done for me. And so anyway, I've been absolutely thrilled with Savvy, and she's been so fun, and it's great to get to continue the upland hunting and then getting to take my kid out.
Hmm.
And she,
Yeah.
she loves, like, she was like a year old, maybe not even quite actually, she was like a year and a half old, I think, when I first killed a pheasant with my daughter there. And I have this adorable picture of my daughter just like, petting the pheasant, or like she's so involved. And then um the other you guys have any other questions about this before I get into another tangent?
No, go for it.
No,
Okay.
go.
So my other hobby, I'm gonna sound insane, and I kind of am. I think it's funny listening to your guys' podcast because a lot of it is like, well, my wife doesn't want this dog, or my wife doesn't want me to get another gun, or
Yep.
we're not gonna do this or that. Well, we're the opposite end of the spectrum where the wife also has the same hobbies, and so it's completely uncontrolled.
Hmm.
We have way too many dogs, we have way too many guns, we've got a camper, we've got a horse trailer, we've got like our house, we have half an acre. There's stuff parked everywhere. Like people probably drive past our house and just wonder what the heck is going on at the Maupin household because we have so much stuff out there. Um, anyway, so it might not be a bad thing that your wives are the voices of reason, because otherwise you guys would be overwhelmed with hobbies.
The amount of
um,
Yeah.
dogs I would have would be unreasonable.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So my other hobby, we've got horses, which a lot of people do. We use those for big game. They're great. But this last year, I also got into falconry, and
Nice.
that has, like, if you think that hunting with dogs is difficult, it is a whole nother level trying to get a wild raptor to tolerate you enough to go out and hunt. And we weren't even successful this year. Like, we didn't kill a dang thing. I have a red-tailed hawk, um, and it's super fun. But the other thing that's been so nice about that is the falconry seasons are super long. And so they just closed like at the end of March. And
Wow.
so
Oh.
I've been able to take Savvy out and go hunt with her with my bird for months longer than I would have otherwise.
Oh yeah.
And so that's been really fun. And we put up a lot of game birds in front of my hawk, but game birds are pretty difficult for a red tail. They don't
Mm,
have the acceleration that some of the others do. And
Mm.
so Savvy has been pretty good about learning how to look for rabbits for me, which, is something
nice.
springers were bred for in the
Yep.
UK. They use them for that still. So that's been our other hobby this last season. And it's been fun because especially since there's not a firearm involved, it's a lot easier to like take my toddler and I can carry her. Or,
Yeah.
it's so anyway, it's been really fun. So my kid has been just like super involved in all of these hobbies with us. And it's interesting. She's probably going to grow up thinking all of this is normal. And, some kids don't even have a dog. So,
Right.
but anyway, that's the
Yeah.
other thing we've been doing is I've gotten Savvy cooperating with my bird, or I guess I should say my bird cooperating with Savvy.
Right.
So she's actually pretty tolerant of her. And sometimes I'm hiking and my bird will go fly off or perch on something and Savvy's hunting. And if I left, they wouldn't even notice. They would just keep hunting without me.
How cool.
So yeah, it's been really fun. So very versatile dog. Great with my
Yeah.
kid, obviously. And
Yeah.
when she was a puppy, we'd take her out with the hounds. And so I have videos of her where, there was a bear in a cave and Savvy is hanging off to the side watching the hounds. And anyway, we have no reasonable limit with our hobbies. So that's what happens when your wife is also involved in all the same stuff as you.
Yeah, maybe the
Yeah.
different hobbies on both sides
Yeah.
is good for
There's you
the
guys have some
wallet.
balance. Yeah, you have some balance there. We don't.
So what would the perfect falconry flush and kill look like? Like if your dreams, like what do you hope to see eventually, like
I
with Savvy and the bird?
I would honestly, my bird killing anything at this point would be awesome. Right now, the
Yeah.
birds are all molting, so hunting is done for the season, and we'll start
Hmm.
again in the fall. Um, Jackrabbits, there's a decent amount of those out here.
Yeah.
They're pretty freaking big. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how big some of these jacks got. It would be awesome to see her take a jack. With falconry, it's all really about like weight management.
Okay.
To get your an operant conditioning to get your bird essentially tolerating you and cooperating with you. That's like the easy way to explain it. Um, I would love to see her take a pheasant or a game bird, but the setup for that has to be like she'd have to probably be perched somewhere high and have a flush come up underneath her. So
Right.
it would be kind of hard to get that. That would be the dream is to see her maybe take like a pheasant or a sage grouse would be absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal. Um, I at some point I'll probably end up getting a different species of bird, but she's really, really tolerant of my kid as well, which is nice
That's
because a
cool.
lot of birds are very spooky. Um, but I don't know. I think my dream at this point would be like maybe Savvy getting into some cattails, flushing a big rooster, and my bird coming down and just creaming it.
Yeah,
um,
that's
Falconry, a
awesome.
lot of it is about like the art of seeing the chase and everything. And so
Yeah.
just the aerial acrobatics that happen sometimes with these birds, it's super cool. So I'd want, you want to see like a good chase too, and then
Hmm.
hopefully have success. But that would be the dream is like a big rooster.
So Savvy has to work for a big rooster, let's just say. Savvy to be pretty
Yeah.
close, like you're saying in cattails, they would be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture this. A fairly close flush, Falcon's up high,
Yeah.
and
So
then has a decent chase and grabs the bird. Is that kind of how that
yeah,
would look?
yeah, that's exactly what you want to see. So hawks, not all. So hawks don't usually like falcons will hunt really up high and then come
Okay.
down and strike the prey. Hawks can do that, but they don't usually do that.
Okay.
Usually it's more of like just it's like depending on the kind of hawk, they'll be on your fist and they'll take off. Lots of acceleration, catch up to the prey while the prey is still accelerating, essentially, and then grab it. With a red tail, realistically, she would probably be sitting like up on a tree, a high tree.
Okay.
Because they don't have quite the acceleration that some of the other hawks do, and so she would basically use gravity to her advantage and come down and
Got it.
grab
Okay.
slash smack whatever. Yeah. So that would be, I mean, and it's cool. Like if they're chasing, that's when like, I don't know, there's cool maneuvers, like whatever it is trying to get away. Right. And so it
Yeah.
happens so fast that she's had a couple good chases where she hasn't killed anything, but it happens so fast. Like it's like if you blink, you'll miss it. That's how
Wow.
fast it is sometimes. And so anyway, it's cool to get, it's almost like art or like poetry, right? Like it's just so pretty to watch. And people who don't hunt probably think that's crazy, right? But like I don't
Yeah.
know, it's cool to get to see like nature at that level, and
Yeah.
you're just lucky enough to be there to see it, right? So that's that's my other hobby. So yeah, we really have no self control around here.
Sure.
But
So, so many questions. How does one acquire a hawk? That's my
so it's
question.
like a huge process. So
Okay.
falconry is for whatever reason, I mean laws, right? Federal laws,
Sure.
but
Yep.
it's one of the things the Fish and Game actually seems to regulate very, very closely.
Mm.
Um, which like shed hunting, right? Like that season starts for us in a few weeks, and like that frustrates me to no end because you go out that first morning, everyone's lined up, ready to go out into the desert or whatever to go hike around for sheds. And a few hours in, you see somebody driving away with a truck bed full of antlers, and you're like, "Oh, I wonder how that happened." Like, you just found all those antlers this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of frustrating because I feel like there are things that could be more heavily regulated, and then
Yeah.
falconry because there is like the Federal Migratory Bird Act.
Yep.
Hmm.
Is super heavily regulated. So basically, the way it would go is you have to find a sponsor who is a general falconer. So there's different levels. So there's apprentice, general, and master. So you have to find a general or a master falconer that agrees to have you as their apprentice, and then you essentially study, take a test, get your permit, and then you're allowed to go trap a wild raptor. And some states have laws with what you're allowed to trap as an apprentice, essentially. Most
Hmm.
apprentices start with a kestrel or a red tail. And so you go out and trap one, and then you essentially begin the process of operant conditioning. So a lot of birds, they're so stressed out when you first catch them that they
Yeah.
won't eat. And so like a few
Mm.
days later, they'll start eating from your hand or something like that. And then you eventually just condition them to be like, oh, well, I get to eat when you're around. And then you essentially work up to the to free flying them. And so when you first start, you have them on like a really long, thin line so they don't just fly away.
Got it.
And then eventually you get to the point where you can trust them to be loose because they're conditioned enough to come back to you. But you don't, like, if your bird has just eaten a good meal, you don't take your bird out and fly it, right? You need to have some motivation there. So if you had to call your bird back, you could essentially bribe it.
Got it.
Um, yeah, so then you take your test, get your permit, trap your bird, and then you just kind of go for it. There's obviously all the same hunting regulations and seasons and things. Like it's not just going out and hunting whatever you want whenever you want.
Sure.
So
Hmm.
there's a lot to it, but that's basically the process. So
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's another version of upland hunting, really.
Yeah.
So because it's all pretty much birds and rabbits, and I mean, if you're flying a kestrel, people hunt like grasshoppers and starlings. But
Really? Oh,
yeah,
Sure.
interesting. Interesting.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
crazy. Okay.
yeah,
How cool.
yeah, it is.
Jerry, do you have any questions about falconry? I mean, that's a whole new world we haven't really been in yet.
That is
Yeah,
a whole
yeah,
new world. No, I
Yeah.
yeah,
think I'm good. I
yeah.
got plenty of hobbies.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's probably probably the wise choice there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, my brain's clicking now. I'm just like, stop, don't do it. Don't
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
start
don't
Googling
get
this one
into
more
another
time.
obsession. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, that's super interesting though. And like I've watched some YouTube videos, folks doing it, and like I alluded to earlier with some with Sharpies, like it
Hmm.
seems most people do it with pointers, but
Yeah.
it's not about pointing the bird and keeping it frozen. It's the bird needs to be in movement, right?
Yeah, yes.
For
So you'd
the
have to flush it. I mean, I guess not necessarily, but if you want to see a good flight, then you want the bird to
Sure,
flush.
yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people in falconry do hunt with pointers,
Yeah.
because that's, then they can get up and get into position and have their bird
Uh,
ready. And then they usually they can get their pointer to go in and flush it, or a lot of them hunt with like not a lot. Some of them have cockers, or
yeah.
there's another breed, the Yog Terrier.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen those, but that seems to
Yeah.
be pretty popular with falconers. Um, and so they'll send those other dogs in to flush. But a lot of quail hunting with pointers and birds of prey seems to be the quails seem to be the most popular. So
Hmm.
anyway, not that I would know because there's no quail here.
So, hound hunting with dogs, upland hunting with your Springer, waterfowl with the labs,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now falconry. What if I'll poke the bear? What other dog-related hobby is in the back of your head that you're wishing you could get into? There's got to be something where you're like, I want to get a terrier and go after rats. I want to like,
Oh
what is
yeah.
it?
I mean, I've considered getting a teckle, which is a
Yeah,
long-haired dachshund.
yeah,
People use those a lot in falconry as well, it sounds like. But it'd be nice to have something that could go in and get rabbits out of holes, or
yeah.
people use them for squirrels, or whatever. I mean, a Yog Terrier would also be super cool, and they're very gritty dogs, so it would
Hmm.
be able to go out with the hounds and do lions and bears and all of that. So
Yeah.
that would be really cool. But I mean, a Yog Terrier sounds like a lifestyle from what I've heard. So
Mhm.
we already have way too much going on to get
I feel
one.
like the Teckle would really enjoy going out with
Yeah,
the
and
hounds
the nice
too.
thing too, it probably would. It just probably couldn't keep up.
Well, yeah, I'd probably
Coonhounds,
hang with
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah, yes. And then I'm sure, I pack it around with my toddler, and then you know, get,
Yeah, just do a
get
front
to the
carrier
tree,
for the
and then it would
dog and
be
a
fine.
back carrier for the
Exactly,
kid.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use my Final Rise vest to carry my toddler. So, is his name Matt that makes Final Rise, right?
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
listens to this, maybe he should think about adding a toddler attachment
Oh yeah.
to the upland vest, because I would pay
Yeah.
good money for a hunting vest that I could also carry my toddler in. But she fits in the game pouch part of it. So her
I
feet
love
and
it.
her head are sticking out on either side, but she does fit. So, and she thinks it's a blast,
That's
you know?
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm I am not one to let having kids dictate the rest of my stuff. I want to be able to just involve my kids in everything.
Sure.
And so, rather than letting kids change our lifestyle, we've tried really, really hard to adapt our hobbies to make it, you know, our kids can come with us. So
Yep.
yeah, that's the other dog hobby I've been toying with the idea of is I want to go take Savvy to a hunt test and just see if I can do it,
Hmm.
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 which is kind of like a pride thing. And obviously it's not the level of a field trial. The field
Sure.
trial is like it's insane. But
Hmm.
there's a hunt test up in Montana, which is the closest one to me. Because there's not really a spaniel club in my part of the state, which is a little
Okay.
bit disappointing. Yeah, I've
Damn.
I've tried the closest I can find is based more over by Boise, and at that point, I may as well just drive down to Utah or drive up to
Right.
Montana. And so,
Right.
anyway, I'm considering taking Savvy to a hunt test just to see if I can do it. I found kind of like a vague rule book online to see, what she needs to be able to accomplish. And the master hunt level, it's basically being able to flush birds, steady to, shot, flush and shot.
Hmm.
And then she needs to be able to do some blind retrieves. And so that's something I need to work on her with because if you have to recast them, that's a fail. And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of her
Right.
popping, that's what I'm trying to focus on with her. But I don't know. I want to get up there and see if maybe I can like make some connections as far as people with because it's only a couple hours for me.
Yeah.
But see if there's some people with spaniels. Like obviously that would be a place where all of these people are going to be meeting. So if I can find somebody, it would be fun to maybe get a little bit of a community started here more, where it's like a couple times a month we go out and just throw birds for each other or something. Because
Yeah.
there's a pretty good pointer community around here, but there's not a lot as far as flushers.
Just
Which,
show up.
yeah.
Just show up to the pointer one and be like, "Hey, I'm
Oh,
here,
yeah.
guys. Deal with it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I've thought about it. I have some
Yeah.
friends with
Deal.
pointers, and I'm like, maybe I could just come and watch you guys and show you my crazy dog. I'm sure their
Yeah.
pointers are maybe a little bit less crackheads than spaniels, but
Well, you never know.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's fair. You don't. But that's my other thing I kind of want to try is
Yeah.
maybe get into the hunt test, but mostly just to see if I can find a community that's more local here
Yeah.
because
Makes
it
sense.
seems to be impossible. There's a lot of lab people here. There's a lot of pointer people, but not a lot of spaniel people. So
Yeah. Same over here. And there's not, I don't know, Jared, if you found different, but there's not a lot of, I guess we found some, but there's not a lot of spaniel people. Like it seems like they either just hunt with their spaniels and it's like a
mhm,
secondary dog, like, oh yeah, I have a couple GSPs and I have a cocker or a
yeah,
springer. Or they only do like field trials and they don't hunt
yeah,
Yeah.
anymore. Especially
yeah,
in this part of the country, I think, like the Pacific Northwest kind of, because
mhm,
bird numbers aren't as good as they are in the Midwest for like they
yeah.
aren't as good
No, for
like you were saying
sure.
earlier, like historically. And so people are like, I'm just gonna go field trial. I'm not gonna worry
Yeah,
about trying to find the one pheasant out there or
yeah,
whatever.
yes.
And
Well,
so
then it
I
almost
run into
feels
that
like a
too. It's
crime.
like, why not both? Is there anyone
Yeah.
interested
Well,
in
that's
kind of
the cool
doing it
thing
all?
about like the riddles, right? Like they do both. They
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
obviously are
Yeah.
super involved in the trial world and they travel
Yep.
all over for that. But then they also take their dogs and their kids out and hunt. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome seeing the videos that Josh posts of his kid.
I
Hmm.
He's
Unbelievable.
10 years old and he's already just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, no, the going back to like hunting in this area as well. I guess because of hunting in this area, I would love to go over to like the Dakotas and get, some really good bird hunting in.
Hmm.
Um, I grew up also in like basically central Montana. There's decent pheasant hunting as well.
Yeah.
So I grew up we have family over there. So I grew up hunting over there as well. Like there's a reservation that we would go hunt at. And honestly, phenomenal bird numbers. It's so,
Hmm.
so fun. And I think I took it for granted when I was younger. We haven't been over there for a few years and now I just want to go back.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So hunting here is good, but as far as pheasants, not great.
Yeah. That's fair.
But
That's fair. But if you find your quarry and it's like Sharpies, it sounds like, then
yeah,
who
yeah,
cares? You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's still fun. And
Yeah.
the other thing I love about bird hunting too, and like we do all the big game hunting, and I haven't killed an elk with my bow yet. Archery hunting is really, really difficult. I don't know if you guys have
Hmm.
ever attempted
Yep.
It's a whole nother game when you're archery hunting. So I'd love to get, a big bull. That's everybody's dream. But it's nice when you go out bird hunting because even if you screw up the shot or you're not ready or, whatever, you don't have to like beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, that's a once in a lifetime bird that just got away. Like,
Right.
you're
Right.
going to have another opportunity. And so I think it's a little bit more laid back and enjoyable. Sometimes big game
Yes.
hunting, you're just like, oh my gosh, I've been practicing all year and I finally just got the perfect moment and I screwed it up. And then you just,
Right.
Yes.
you're mad at yourself because of it. But
The stress level's way less.
yeah, yeah. And I appreciate that because you can go out and actually enjoy your day.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yeah. And that's kind of the point,
yeah.
right? Like, and
Yeah, well, and
I
especially if you have friends. If you have friends
Yeah.
that'll go with you and you get to go out and
yeah.
enjoy the day, like a bad day hunting is it's a better day than a good day at work.
True.
Yep. For sure.
So,
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Jared, do you want to ask our gear questions we always ask our guests?
Well, we know she runs a final rise, so we
Yeah,
know
we've learned
that.
that.
yes,
Um,
I love my final rise.
that seems to be the consensus of everybody that has one.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get one, you're kind of in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it's kind of
yeah.
like that's it. All right, I guess we also know you use a bird too, but what shotgun do you use?
So I have commandeered my husband's Satori over under.
Okay,
It's the 12 gauge. I honestly, it's probably whatever the cheapest Satori you can get is. I don't actually know exactly what model it is, but I've absolutely loved shooting that gun. I thought that I liked my Remington fine, and then I started shooting the Satori, and it's been phenomenal. And honestly, it probably doesn't fit me. Like you guys were talking about shotgun fit. I'm a small person. I'm like 5'3". I need to get it out and do the elbow test because I guarantee you it does not actually fit me. So maybe my shooting would be a little bit better if we adjusted it. But I love that gun. It's great. And it's a little bit beat up now because I've been using it.
Yeah.
sure.
But that's fine. That's what it's meant to do.
Right.
And then for waterfowl, I have a semi-auto. I had a Benelli and the kick on that was miserable.
Hmm.
And so I have a Beretta now, and you would think they'd be about the same, but the Beretta is so much better. And so, yeah, I have a 12 gauge semi-auto Beretta that I use for waterfowl, and obviously that's beat up because it goes out and sits, out on the ice with me and
Right.
Yep.
all of that. But that's been a phenomenal gun as well.
Must have been the inertia to the gas system from Benelli to Beretta. Isn't that right, Jared? Is that the
Yeah,
difference?
Okay, see, I didn't
that
Must
even
was
be
know
my
that.
guess.
that must be the lighter
Yeah,
kick, I imagine.
it
yeah,
it's so much more tolerable to shoot. I
Yeah.
and I was so excited for the Benelli, and then literally we went out one day, and I think I shot it twice, and I was like, I'm done. This is not like it was so painful. It gave me such a freaking headache.
yeah,
Yeah.
So quickly, I was like, okay, I don't want to take any more shots. Like unless a really big Drake Mallard comes in and it's the perfect
yeah.
shot, I'm not shooting this again.
Yeah, that
So
sucks.
Also,
Yeah.
probably
yeah,
doesn't fit you either.
it probably doesn't.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think I probably would need to shoot like a kid's model shotgun to have it
sure.
fit.
Yeah.
But, I seem to be doing fine with what I have. So I'll
There
just
you
keep ignoring the problem, I guess.
go.
Well, that's the right way to do it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Same
It's
page.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we covered vest, gun. Anything else, Jared? I
No,
forget what
I
we
think
all
we're
go through.
good.
I think
Yeah,
we're good with
Okay.
those two. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, Michaela, anything else that you wished we had asked you that you wanted to talk about on here in the
So
show?
the only other thing I'm going to mention,
Yeah.
and you already know this, because of the Discord, but I
Right.
just whelped a litter of puppies this week.
Oh,
So
that's right.
same breeding as my dog. There's 10 of them. There are 10 pups. There's 5 liver and white, 5 black and white. And somehow there's only 3 males, 7 females. But anyway, we're close to Idaho Falls and we're gonna have these pups available in probably late June, mid to late June to go home to their new families. And I would love for them I love sending them home with hunting families. We're not really big breeders or anything, right? We just had 2 dogs that the lines actually were great, and it was a really nice cross between Harley and Maggie. And so, if there is anyone looking for some Springer pups, I happen to have some that I would love to have go home to hunters. They're obviously you guys know this. They're great family dogs, but they do
Yeah,
need
Yeah.
an outlet, and so I
Right.
definitely am trying really, really hard to kind of like connect and market them to hunters because that would be the ideal home for these dogs. But and obviously, I'm not trying to compete with the Riddles. Like I recommend the Riddles to everybody. They have a
Yes.
freaking phenomenal program down there.
Yes.
Super great dogs. And I mean, as you guys know, they support their clients forever.
Oh, it's
Like you
unbelievable.
could,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of help that you can get. And like my dog, I didn't even buy it from Josh, right? And I ask him questions all the time, and he's still more than willing to help and
Hmm.
super helpful and just
Yep.
friendly. So obviously Rockies is the place to get a dog. But
Hmm.
we also have some very well-bred pups on the ground now. So if anybody is looking, or if you know anybody that might be interested, or if you just want to, like I said, just drive through Idaho Falls and you can find this puppy, then it'll be harder for your wife to say no when she's holding it.
It's very
So
true. That's very
Yeah,
true.
you're not wrong. I mean,
yeah.
you're not that far from us.
Oh, it's really not that far. You guys could just swing by to Yellowstone,
Yeah. Summer
and
trip.
Idaho Falls. Exactly. Idaho Falls is just a little jaunt away from Yellowstone. Or I could
Yeah.
There we
meet you
go.
up in Yellowstone and you could just find a puppy there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we should
So
take care of this puppy. It's lost in the woods.
yeah, look at,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it happens to be a Springer. How'd that happen?
Weird. I
Right.
know all about springers. Yeah.
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 No, but if anyone is listening to this and they're, in the area of Idaho Falls-ish,
Yeah,
um, and you're listening to us talk about springers, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do that. This is a chance to get one in the summer when you could
that's
be
so
hunting
true.
it this next season if you do it
Hmm.
right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um, it's a good time. Both of my dogs were, well, I guess this was she's Bridget over here's I got her in the summer around that time frame, and it was perfect
it's
timing to get her out
fun.
in her
Yeah.
first puppy season.
Yeah.
And it's like
Same with
you were saying
Bones.
earlier, it's easier to have a puppy in the
Oh, yeah.
summer than the winter when you're taking them outside all night
Yeah.
long and all
Winter
that.
puppies
So
are way harder. Summer
yeah,
puppies, they're great. They're so much fun. Your kids are home.
Yeah.
You have all the extra help.
yep.
And you know what? I always tell people this. It's probably one of the reasons we have so many dogs and hobbies. But if you wait for the perfect moment to get a dog or have a kid or, whatever big life choice it is, right? If you
Yep.
wait for the
Hmm.
perfect moment, it's never going to come.
It's very true.
So, yeah, like, you think you're busy, but you wait too long, you're going to miss your opportunity entirely. So
Right.
that's what I tell people, which is probably why we have so many dogs. But anyway, or, if anyone listening to this is interested, wants to come meet the parents or, reach out to me or whatever, I am super happy to talk about it and, show off the parents and the puppies and they can come meet them. But they
And what's
should
the
be
best way
phenomenal
for
dogs.
yeah,
Um,
what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you or to follow
I
you
mean,
or
I
they can
don't,
reach out to us and we can
I was
forward
gonna
them
say,
to
if they
you.
reach out, yeah, maybe if they reach out to you, you could forward them
Yeah.
to, yeah, to
Yeah, we can
me.
do that.
That might be the
Yeah.
easiest. I'm on Facebook too. My
Yeah.
social media presence is minimal, but I am on Facebook and Instagram, so
Sounds good.
people could also reach out to me there. But yeah, they
Cool.
should be great pups. And I mean, like we said, you basically they kind of train themselves. You just do some basic obedience and get the dog, happy to work with you, and they do the rest for you. So
Yeah.
Yes, mine is currently sitting here under my desk, staring into my eyes
oh,
lovingly.
exactly.
So it's a great. I'm
Yeah.
just petting her ears. They're
Yeah,
great dogs. So
they really
not
are.
not to turn this into a commercial for Springers or yours in particular, but
No,
it's an opportunity if people are looking or have been curious to
yeah,
reach out and
Yeah.
ask the questions. So yeah,
yeah,
well,
cool.
great. Well, Michaela, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Thanks for
And
having me. Sorry,
yeah,
kind of
and
kind of long-winded.
no, it was
No, it's
good.
good.
Good conversation. I actually learned a lot, especially stuff around falconry. I only knew a little bit
Yeah,
about that, or just
Yeah.
kind of saw a
yeah,
little bit about it, and so it's interesting to hear about it, especially from a fellow Springer owner.
yeah. No,
Um,
it's fun. And you know what?
yeah,
It's kind of like how you guys say, we're training in the summer, all the in the off season. What are we doing to try to kind of stay in
yeah,
on the hunting world? And obviously, we never really leave the hunting world because we've got stuff
yeah,
going on all the time. But the
Yes.
yeah.
falconry has been a nice addition to give Savvy even more opportunity to go out and work. So it's been fun.
Love it, love it. Cool. Anything else from you, Jared?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time. Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.